Hi, this is Michael B from trackandsolo.com, and in this video I'm going to go over Vital, which is probably the best free VST synthesizer out there. Let's get started. I've been playing around with Vital for a couple days. It is a pretty complex sort of VST. That's why I kind of think that it's probably, if not the best free one that's out there, one of the best free ones. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. You have your voices, you have an effects rack here, you have a matrix, and there's a bunch of other advanced stuff you can do with this. Everything is pretty much laid out. I know that there's a bunch of videos on how to use this. I don't pretend to be a sound designer. I'm interested in making music, not necessarily trying to create sounds from scratch. So back in the day when I started playing actual synthesizers myself, it was shown to me by a guy that I had bought the synthesizer from at a store. Basically, that you take a preset that's already in it, and then you sort of play around with it and adjust it to make it sound the way that you want to make it sound, to make it original to you. So that way you don't run into, not really a problem, but you kind of want your own sounds to sound, original, not to sound like a sound that everyone else is using. And something like Vital, using the presets in here as is, you might run into a problem with a lot of other people using that exact same sound. So I always have gotten into a habit of finding a sound that I really like and just changing it enough so it didn't sound exactly like the preset. And this is a super complicated thing. Yeah, I don't think it's too complicated to learn if you spent some time learning it. And there are a ton of videos out there that I've watched in the past where people can make a sound essentially from scratch. They just start out with the oscillators and then they just start building up from there. It's absolutely amazing. Maybe one day I'll take the time out to actually learn that. But for right now, I just want to make music, so I get a free VST that doesn't cost me anything. I pick a preset that I like, and then I change it around enough to suit my purposes. And that's basically the way that I go. But I can run through some of the, just to kind of give you an idea of what comes with it. Is you have a couple oscillators here, filters are right here. You have your delay, attack, hold, decay, sustain, and release for your envelopes. You have your LFOs here. You have a number of those. If And this is just for the voices screen. When you go to the effects screen, you have an effects rack and you have a ton of stuff to choose from. Um, all you have to do is just engage the button if you want to add them or take them out. Like I said, you can really customize, I think, pretty much every aspect of the sound, including a lot of the things that you don't see in other free VSTs. Uh, your matrix here, I'm not even exactly sure. I haven't done a lot of research on this with my playing around, because as I said, there's so many controls and there's so many things that you can do with this that I honestly haven't had the time to really dig deep into some of this stuff. But as I said before, I've watched a number of videos watching people create things from scratch. But as far as a free synthesizer, it works great. One of the problems that I had on my old computer is it did use a lot of my system resources. So I started to get popping and crackling when I tried to use it with my old computer. With my new computer that I got, I still, with a couple sounds, I still ran into that problem, but I had so many instances of this VST open because I was using it for the bass, I was using it for the melody, I was using it for the pads, and some of the more complex sounds, it does use a lot of more of your system resources, so you kind of have to watch that. But you can also kind of get around that I found out in the past from experimenting, that if I found a sound that I liked but it used too much of my computer resources, essentially what I would do is I would live with the horrible sound at first, and then once I got everything sort of sounding on the song or with the preset that I liked, then I found out that if I actually turned it into an actual audio sample, if I rendered it into an audio sample, all the pops and all the cracks weren't in there because my computer could take as much time as it needed to render out the audio as opposed to trying to render it in real time, if that makes any sense. So that's sort of a tip if you run into that problem with the slower computer. But other than that, there's a bunch of controls in there. There's a bunch of videos out there to use it. I definitely recommend downloading it and playing around with it. Okay, let's check out some of the presets. This has a what is called a preset browser, which you can check out all the presets from. And this is one of the presets that's loaded right now. So if you just click on it once, here's your preset browser. It has all your categories right here if you're looking for something specific. Let's just go ahead and go through a bunch of these sounds here. With most of these free VSTs, a lot of the presets, kind of in my opinion, are kind of useless. For the most part, I mean, you could take a preset that's kind of that's, in my opinion, unusable, and then keep tweaking it into something that is usable. That is something that would be pretty unique. That's one way of doing it. A lot of times I'll just find a preset that I like, and then I'll make some minor and sometimes major adjustments to it to either fit the song and or fit my taste for the sound that I'm looking for. Let's just go through some of these. I will keep my talking to a limited so you can hear what some of these sounds are. So let's start off with all the bass sounds. As you can see, you can star out your favorites, which is kind of nice. There's not that many sounds that are in the free version. I think you can download some more sounds, and I know that there's a bunch of sounds that you can pay for from third parties. Since there's not that many sounds in here, the starring, favoriting, I guess you could call it, is probably not that important if you're just downloading this because you're a sound designer or you just want to use some of these some of the sounds that come with it. But let's start off with the bass, and I'll just try to run through as many of these as possible for you. Let's start off with one here at the top. Now, why some of these sounds are under the bass category, I'm really not sure, but you can kind of hear some. It has some decent sounds, and if you do a lot of tweaking yourself, I'm sure you can probably get some really good use out of this. Let's run through the leads real quick. There's only a few of them here. Again, those are your leads. Let's go to the keys. Again, not a ton of them. Again, you got some decent sounds to work with here. The pads, there's not very many pads that are in here, as you can see. I really wasn't thrilled with a lot of them, but let's run through these really quick as well. That one was a crazy one. We'll run through some percussion again. There's not very many of them in here. Okay, this section is sequence. Interesting, some of them. Experimental, there's a lot of them in here, or actually not really. You can do combinations, like I have sequence chosen and experimental, so it'll show your experimental ones along with your sequence. I kind of found that out when I was playing around with this. There's a few experimental ones in here. Let's run through those real quick. Again, got some sound effects in here. A couple of those. Let's run through those. Nothing great there. And two tone templates. Let's go ahead and shoot that out. Again, that's it pretty much for the sounds. Okay, I put together a little bit of an arrangement here using a few of the sounds that I liked in Vital. The drums were, or all the percussion sounds. These are downloads that I did in my last video from Sample Focus. It's a free website where you can download a certain amount of songs every single week, and if you upload songs, you can get credits to download other songs. It's sort of a community sharing is basically the way that that's set up. The sounds that I used were all Vital sounds. The bass, there's two separate bass sounds that I used. Let me go to that. The first one is the Jupiter bass, is for the low end of the bass. I did a little bit of tweaking. I changed it from a stereo signal to a mono signal. Like I said, I just did a little bit of tweaking just to enhance the low end of the sound itself and the low end for this song or this small arrangement. The high, I use growl bass sidechain. Again, I did a little bit of tweaking with this again to accentuate more of the mid-range part of this. I did take the reverb on both of the basses, and I narrowed the spread a little bit for the chorus. It's still a stereo, but it's tightened up a lot more towards the center because I wanted it to appear that there's like a fat sounding bass. So I did that for the growl bass side chain, which is the high end of the bass. Here's our melody right here. I use the chorus C keys, just some EQing. I did um, just some really little subtle changes, just to usually with free sounds. It always seems like there's a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done, and even if they're not free sounds, it's usually best to tweak them so they fit the song maybe a little bit better, and just so they sound maybe a little more original as opposed to using the same sound that possibly a lot of other people are using as well. This I call chord hits. It's basically every time a chord is played, there's like a chorus bell sort of sound. You'll hear that in a minute when I play it. Again, I just did just some minor tweaks of this again, just to kind of fine tune everything a little bit more for this arrangement and to get a little more of a custom sound. And then, of course, I threw in a pad, and there was really only really one good pad in here, which was the analog pad. This I brightened up quite a bit, would probably be my largest change, but I tweaked a couple things in here, not really a lot, but again, just sort of custom tuning it for this. So the way that I have my little arrangement, it's going to be the melody first with some drums. I actually have two different drum kicks in here. One is more of a brighter sound, and the other one is more of a muted sound. So I'm using one as the high and one as the low, and I did a little bit of EQing here. This is just a little sort of a sound effect that I like to throw in with my a sound effect percussion. It's a little rhythm loop that I like to add in just to add a little more interest to the percussion parts. It says snare. This is really more of a hand clap that, as I said, I got off the Sample Focus. The hi-hats are the same. I just have them alternating. One is pan 50% left, 50% right. Open hi-hat comes in towards the end, which is what I like to do in my songs. And then again, all the other sounds that I showed you before. So it's going to start out with the melody, then it's going to sound with these chord hits, as I call them, then the bass, and then it's going to kind of take us out with the chords, and then the hi-hat will kick in for the end. This is just a little quick preview of some tweak sounds. Here we go. And that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like. If you'd like to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you later.